All right, there we go. What's up, y'all? Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV. We got this week's guest, OG Jose Joaquin. Is that the correct way to say your name?
Hey, you actually said it right.
Joaquin, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
you actually said it right.
I'll tell you something funny. I've been getting emails from you since at least 2000, maybe 8.
Yeah.
And I've never wanted to pronounce your last name out loud. Thinking that I was going to screw it up. So, hey, man, I did one thing right. You know
hey, and that's not for nothing, but it's always been the homies that'll be like, hey, how you say your last name? Jaquan? Like, nah.
You know what I'm saying? So what's up, y'all? I got my OG homeboy, Jose Joaquin, tour manager, artist liaison, that guy that I've seen him hold it together in some situations, you know what I'm saying, with different artists and whatnot.
Shit, we've been in some situations, me and you.
Man, you want to hear something funny? This is gonna go into a question I'm gonna ask you later on.
Yeah.
But I'll say, regardless of just like the business side of interaction that we saw that may not have been like cool or whatever, man, one thing that sticks out in my mind is when we were leaving Czechoslovakia and we were going to Amsterdam, and it was a certain person that was involved that was handling all the details, and they just had no concept of luggage. And then, but the touring party, so all the bags are like counting up or whatever. And dude, Brown thinks swift on his feet, because Brown was like, dude, you need to go up there and help him. And Brown actually came up with the thing saying, instead of them trying to charge all the different artists separately, go up there and just talk directly to the people and say, can we just get a weight and break the weight up with the amount, with the people that are traveling.
Right.
But I know before I went up there, the conversation I heard was like $14,000 in luggage.
That's when we were rolling deep on that tour, and like those are a lot of heads.
And hey man, I tell you what though, man, if I would have known what I know now, I might not have got involved in that conversation. You know what I'm saying? If I know what
like you said, man, we've had some situations that we've had to deal with on the fly.
Ain't been around the world, but we've been to Europe, and we've definitely hit several states in the United States.
Yep.
Tell me this, man. What city are you from?
LBC, Long Beach, California, all day, 24/7.
What junior high?
Went to Lindbergh Middle School, right next to the Carmelitos projects.
Why'd you have to think about that, man?
Yeah, man. Back then, it was not necessarily the nicest or friendliest school to go to in the 90s,
Hey, man, that's where you got your character from, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's where you got your character. So when you were in junior high school, what did you think your career was going to be?
An accountant.
What?
An accountant. I was always good at math. So I always did it. So like early on, I was in advanced math classes, and they're already pushing that into my head, like, oh, you're gonna be a good accountant one day. I'm like, I don't know what an accountant does, but all right, I'm gonna do that.
Bean counter.
Pretty much.
Or not, that wasn't no fucking no silly shit. You know what I'm saying? That was not like that, but I mean, dot the I or cross the T.
Hey, I know what you mean, my brother.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, in this climate, we gotta think 3 steps ahead, 4 steps back.
Man, it's wild right now, man. Unfortunately, it's fucking wild, man.
So when you were in junior high, were you listening to hip hop at that time?
Oh, no doubt. Hell yeah.
Okay, so you're listening to hip hop. You go to high school. What high school did you go to?
Jordan High.
Dang. Yeah, that's real.
And you know what's crazy about that when you talk about like hip hop and at that era, in junior high, I remember clearly bumping a lot of Sir Mix a lot.
Huh.
And then from that to 9th grade in high school, because I just literally posted something about this other day on my IG. I was like one of those kids bumping X-Clan to the East Black words.
Yeah.
And people looking at me like, why is this Mexican fool rapping X Clan.
Hey man, it was powerful, man.
Man,
Over
and I didn't see it like that. To me, I was just like, yo, those beats, those rhymes are like, what is this?
Hey man, I remember back in it had to be 90. It had to be it had to be 90. It was me, Imani Brown, one of our homeboys, old school, a dude named Kamal. And it was back when everybody had the verb sticks, the the little the little thing out the wood or whatever.
Yep.
And I want to say the police got a hold of his verb stick and turned it into a sign language stick. They broke it.
What?
Just on some GP. So yeah, man. But yeah, X Plan was pretty powerful, man.
Yeah.
Pretty powerful back then.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved into the whole hip hop thing?
Man, BET, Rap City.
Yeah.
My mom used to work at a restaurant and leave and get out of work at midnight. One day, one of the nights, my dad went to pick her up. I heard him leave. I turned on the TV. I don't even know why it was on BET, but that came on. Rap City came on. I was like, what is this? That was it, man. I was like reeled in, hooked in ever since that day.
That's crazy, man. My experience with hip hop is like totally, it's weird because like I can remember like how I assimilate things. People had bugs and squarebacks in my neighborhood where I was from. Mm-hmm. And so I can remember, Dumb Girl, the bass of Dumb Girl and the homies bugs and the homie squareback just dum 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 dum. And then I remember Eric B. and Rakim, the bass and Eric B. and Rakim and my homeboy stuff. And then I kind of watched MTV and BET a little bit, but it was more like the cool homies that got their little grind on, worked their little job at Taco Bell, Domino's, whatever, to fix up their bug or whatever little classic car they had. And then how it thumped in the speaker box. That was kind of like the allure that kind of got me into it.
Right.
So, okay, so you go to high school, you got your hip hop from BET. So how do you get involved in working for hip hop or being around artists and all that kind of stuff?
Man, I mean, honestly, I think I paint. I'm also a graffiti writer. And one of the homies was working for a magazine called SP Magazine. The old school OGLA has remember SP Magazine because they used to do a show called The Night Hip Hop Stole Christmas. So that was before Rock the Bells, before paid dues. Like The Night Hip Hop Stole Christmas was that hip hop show everybody wanted to go to, that in Unity. And I started working for the magazine. I started working for SP Magazine as a writer, doing interviews. And that just opened a whole new door into a whole new world.
Oh man. And so that was the gateway. And so then how did you end up at Rock the Bells?
The CEO of that company was talking to the CEO of SP Magazine one day, and I just overheard him saying, like, man, we're getting ready for the Cypress Hill smokeout. I need to keep building the street team. I don't have anyone to hit like the Long Beach area. And I said, light bulb just turned on. Like, yo, I live in Long Beach. I have a street team. I know who he is. I know what he's about. I just went up and talked to him like, yo, this is who I am. This is what I do. I have my own street team. He's like, perfect. You're on. Like that's it. Like, yo, you're on.
So let's catch people up that might not have caught it. Because if I didn't know you, I wouldn't know. So go over a couple of the groups that have headlined Rock the Bells over the years.
Man, I mean, right off the bat, legendary status, very first Rock the Bells. That was literally the last Wu-Tang show as a whole with ODB there. Like that was literally on record as the last official Wu-Tang show with all of them there. All of them actually showed up.
The crazy thing, I believe I was backstage at one of those shows, and it's a trip because you could feel the electricity.
Oh yeah.
And when I say electricity, I don't mean like rowdiness or weird or whatever. It's just like
the vibe, the buzz.
I'm not a Dude, I'm not a groupie. I'm so far from a groupie, but I will acknowledge somebody if I really like them. But there's some certain artists, man, that when they're in the building, there is electricity that's felt backstage, and it's just like, whoa. Okay, so Wu-Tang, break down a couple more.
I mean, like, then from Wu-Tang, then Nas, then of course 2007, the biggest year ever when we had Rage Against the Machine, Wu-Tang,
Big
Public
deal.
Enemy, Cypress Hill, The Roots, Common, Immortal Technique, dude, everybody, like all together on one spot for one whole afternoon and night.
I give you props because as you transitioned away from kind of like artist liaison into tour managing, your job at RTV was really a cool one. Because I mean, not that you didn't earn your money or you work hard as hell, but you got to deal with people that didn't deal with nobody, man.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't deal with nobody. They barely dealt with their managers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very, very true. Like the year that we toured together in Europe, 2008, like that was the year Tribe Called Quest headlined. Yeah. And that whole documentary that Michael Rappaport put out, I remember the cameras that whole tour. Like they were there, they captured everything that was going on. And I was the VIP meet and greet coordinator for that tour. So I was with them every show coordinating their meet and greet. And that's when I got to, know them and meet them and, got real cool with Ali, Five. Like, yo, man, it was amazing experience.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It was a good thing, man. Now that was more than anything, me being on the management side of it, I guess it's the what would you call it? I don't want to say fraternization, but it was kind of like artist and artist entourage able to get together and workshop. Like to me, it was just like a big.
Definitely.
I definitely learned a lot of things just looking and seeing how different artists handle different situations. And then to my surprise, it was kind of like some of the artists and managers that I really thought had it together kind of didn't. But then some of the people who I would have thought, nah, they don't have it together, they were on point, dude. I can remember when we went to the Gorge, when we did that short show at the Gorge. Mm-hmm. We had to take that long drive from the airport, like some little small
little yep.
And Little B, the bass guy,
mm-hmm.
he was in the pack at the time, and we talked for like 45 minutes at the airport, but it wasn't the Little B who you know now. You know what I'm saying? This is a kid who's just like, he's dope. I think they had a song called Vans or something like that. Whatever their song was, it is just like hella blew up.
Yeah.
And it's just like these little kids. Matter of fact, I'll tell you something crazy. I used to see Tyga come to the shows with his little crew, but he wasn't rapping or nothing like that. But it was a trip because even though he was a star back then, but he wasn't rapping or nothing like that. It was just kind of, I don't want to say his swag, I don't want to say whatever, but I know him and his little crew of homeboys would show up, the gold chains, whatever.
Yeah.
It was a trip to me because it's like, when you see cats like that know the promoters, that like, I'll say Tyga was coming to shows out of town too. You know what I'm saying? He was like coming out, but not rapping. But then looking back in retrospect, it's kind of like, dang. In his mind, he probably had mapped out his whole situation, man, and he would just probably had the little plug with whoever was throwing the festival, and it was worth it to him to fly out into somewhere where he had backstage access. You know what I'm saying, and he could come and plant the seeds and
make his presence known.
Man,
similar to something like that. That is really, really dope, and I find inspirational for other artists is one of the years, I think the first year Mac Miller was on stage at Rock the Bells.
I never knew that.
One of the things he said on stage was like, yo, 2 years ago, and he points out at the crowd, like, I was right there. I was here as a fan. Every year I came to this show as a fan. I'm in the crowd. I was, I didn't have backstage access. No matter who I was, I'm here rocking for you guys now. Now you guys know my songs. Like that was dope.
Man, man, oh man. Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah, I didn't, after our year, I kind of kept up with it a little bit, but not so much. But man, you was with them to the end, man.
Yeah, from the beginning, the very first Rock the Bells in 2004. No, the winter of 2003. Because before it was a festival, it was a Friday night spot in Hollywood. It was a club joint.
Florentine Gardens, man.
No, it was the spot right next to Florentine's.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember.
I'm thinking parking lot. Because
you could park at Florentine's on the side of it and then walk over to the spot because it's literally right next to Florentine Gardens. So that was Rock the Bells Friday nights before it turned into a festival. And then the last one all the way to 2013.
Man, I want to say the homie Souls was on the last one, or Hieroglyphics. I don't know, one of the two might have been on the last one.
I'm pretty sure Hyro was on it, because also I know Del was on it with Deltron 3030 with the whole orchestra. And that shit was fresh. That was fire. That performance.
I'm a Deltron fan, man.
Oh, sure, hell yeah.
Like, man, I saw him in Paris. It wasn't Paris, it was somewhere in France, but we ended up being on the same bill or whatever. And I was like, I love Del as a solo artist. I love him with Hyro, but then Deltron 3030, you get all the samples and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, okay.
No, that's just fire. Definitely fire.
Man. So tell me this, man, out of all the artists that you saw move through the Rock the Bell situation, who did you see that actually really blew up?
Like on some crazy shit, and I'm gonna say they blew the fuck up, like they blew up, and not even on some hip hop shit. Dirty Heads. Yeah, as big as the Dirty Heads are now, like in the whole like reggae-ish scene, touring worldwide, headlining festivals and their big tours, amphitheaters, like they're doing it big. They were the first act, 1 p.m. on the second stage, outdoors. Like nobody really knew who they were, and then they blew the fuck up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like that's on some like not even hip hop shit, but I remember them. They were cool as fuck.
Shame on me. I still don't. Shame on me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to check them out.
Nah, definitely. We could build on some shit there. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, man, with the whole Corona and everything jumping off. Sad to say, one of the biggest things I miss, hooking up with homies, having a couple shots of tequila, tasting on chips and salsa, wings, just freely, man.
Yep.
That's a cold situation. So tell me this, as far as your work is concerned, like when you got the news that stuff was going to be shutting down and all that kind of stuff, what was the first thoughts that came into your head as far as the entertainment industry and how we would kind of navigate?
Honestly, I looked at it from a business perspective, and I was like, yeah, right. Because at the time when all that hit, we were getting ready. Like I was going to start working on Coachella, so I was going to be working at Coachella for a couple of weeks, prior to it actually opening up to the masses. And I'm like, yeah, right. They're not going to shut down a multi-million-dollar operation, where it feeds a whole city, a whole community, because they hire lots of people locally. The hotels, the restaurants, like it's just a much bigger picture than a bunch of people coming in to check out a festival, So I'm like, nah, they're not gonna let something like that affect a whole bigger operation. But nah, man, like once you shut down something like Disneyland and you messing around on that kind of people's money, nah, you need to wake up and see how serious this shit is. They're shutting down Disneyland and all these music festivals. Like, nah, it's not happening.
I'll tell you something that's been educational for me. So I always think in terms of money. Like that's just always been my thing. And even promoters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I can be cool enough with them, I always like to know how people make their money, whether they tell me or whether they don't. I just find it fascinating, honestly, to just be 100. And I'll tell you the amazing part. It's like, okay, the economy shut down, but some fools still balling. You know what I'm saying? That just goes to tell you how much money there is. Like, dude, they'll never tell you how much money McDonald's makes a day. They'll never tell you how much money they make in cigarette sales a day. They'll never tell you this, but dude, I'll tell you this. There's a lot of money out there. I got a homeboy who works for one of the largest venues in Los Angeles. And they literally employ like thousands of people. Dude, since this shit jumped off, he's been at home paid. He didn't have to take no fucking and he is kind of up. He's kind of up there. He's not at the top, but he's kind of, put it this way, he doesn't have an office, I don't think. He probably has a station or whatever. But he was like, nah, man, they paying us, man. And I'm just like, damn, how do they have the money to just but when you think about it, they were making that much money that they got so much money from the money that they made.
Yeah.
That is, it's still cracking. Like I'll tell you, for me, but the day that the governor shut it down, we had a show in San Diego. And so I'll say it, the Live Nation rep called me up and he was like, so you heard the governor just made the announcement. How do you feel about it? And I was like, well, man, and it's a trip. Imani was already on his way. Brown was at home. And I was like, because our office is in Santa Fe Springs, like, the northernest part of Orange County, I guess.
Right.
So I had my car packed up. Well, I had it about 70% packed up, but I was getting stuff from the office and putting it in. And then I talked to Brown. He was like, hey, man, you probably need to call homeboy up and just ask him one more time and make sure before we go up there. So I call him back and he was like, well, I don't have a problem with it. I say we should do it, but let me call the venue, because I think it was at the point of where venues would get fined or they might have been scared to get fined or something like that. He called the venue and then he said, I'm gonna call you back in 20 minutes. 45 minutes it went past. And I just, and it's a trip with the Rona being as weird and crazy and Twilight Zone-ish as it is. I had never felt nervous about a phone call before. And it wasn't so much whether the show would go on or whether the show wouldn't go on. It was the power of what was going on to make it go on, like do it. And homeboy called me back and he said, well, you know what? I'm down. And the venue said if it was up to them, they'd be with it. But we're going to have to, wait this out and just see. So I was like, okay, cool. So from that point, we had probably about like 3 other shows booked. And the agents are calling me and they're like, well, we're going to reschedule it here. We're going to reschedule it there. And then I think on a couple of shows, I rescheduled them like maybe twice. And I was just like, man, like you can't do that to the fans. Like, let's just not mention it. And if you got to refund money, do whatever you got to do. Let's just do a release and then I can get the guys on board with it. And when there is actually something that's real and it makes sense, we roll with that. Because it's kind of like, you can't get people's hopes. Like, I mean, even in world pandemic, you just can't get people's hopes up and just, like I look at the fans like they can be your best friends or your worst enemies.
Oh,
and
man.
and dude, I witnessed it. We did the Juggalo Festival. Hey man, Warren G was on stage, and for those who don't know, the Juggalo Festival is the Insane Clown Posse. They're like a regionally large group from the Detroit area, and these dudes throw this huge festival on a farm. It's on like farmland, and so the agent who booked it, he was like, oh man, I sent Warren, this is Warren's second time out there. Warren loves it. If Warren G loves it, how could the Pharcyde not love it? You know, blah, 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 blah. So we drive in, and where they have it, it's almost in Illinois. It was like at the tip of a couple different states or whatever. So anyway, we drive onto this property. They take us back, and Warren G is on before us. And so they do this. And so while we're driving to where the dressing room is, someone's telling me about Tila Tequila, or whoever the girl is.
Yeah.
She got her nose broke the year before. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
Somebody did something and broke her nose. I don't think they socked her. Maybe they threw a chair or something or a bottle, something like that, whatever. But I'm just like, okay, what are we getting ourselves into? So we go. Warren G's on stage, and fools are chanting family, family. So if they chant family, they all good with you. But even with them chanting family, hey man, I saw a couple chairs fly across the stage. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
We were lucky though. We went up, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't anything that was, you know, whatever. But I just remember, like, man, I never felt like that in the show before. But I say all that to say, your fans could be your best friend, or they could be that other part.
Oh man, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Have you ever witnessed that other part?
Yo, I'm gonna say there was one situation. I'm not gonna say who the artist was with.
I know what you're talking about. I was there, and a bottle was pelted on stage.
Man.
Yeah, I know. I was there. I was there.
I was like, what the?
Yeah, we couldn't even say it, man. It would break hearts, man. And you know, that's an argument. Well, not an argument, but that's something that Brown and I talked about, where it's like there's so much to the hip hop legacy that you can't even say stuff like as a man, or like as one privy to like how stuff really works. You break people's hearts, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, I'd just be too much for them. But I know the show you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody's security that wasn't related to that at all. And he was like, man, they were pelting bottles. I was just like, oh, yeah. But that's crazy. So you graduated. Well, I won't say you graduated, but you moved on from Rock the Bells. And who was the first artist that you tour managed?
At that point, I'm gonna say I think it was Murs, my brother Murs, man.
Yeah.
He was the first one to give me really a chance and was like, you know what? We had known each other a couple of years at that point, and he's like, you know, I fuck with you. I know you do all the touring stuff with Lauryn Hill. I know you're in charge of a lot of her shit. He's like, you know, you down for this underground hip hop shit? I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, let's go. That was the first tour I did with him.
And that's the cool thing about you, man. Me just seeing you develop into what, you know, what you are today. It's kind of like, man, you deal with the Immortal Techniques, you deal with the Miss Hills, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I won't say which is high, which is low, whatever, but I would say the contrast of the different artists and whatnot.
And even like when it comes to a level of touring, you know, Miss Hill, fly tour buses, fresh hotels. You know, when I'm directly with her, we're staying in nothing but 5-star hotels when I'm with her. You know, the jiggy, fancy, like,
yeah,
you know, the jiggy shit.
Yeah.
And when I'm with Murs would be like, yo, like, you know, this ain't no, first thing he told me, he's like, you know, this ain't no Lauryn Hill tour, homie. Like, we're driving my minivan. We don't got no tour bus. You're driving my minivan across the whole US. You know, we're not staying in no fancy hotels. And straight up, but you know what? But I love that experience, you know, tour bus and all that shit's cool. I do that with her. I do that with Kweli. But with Murs, the experience of getting to actually see the country, the whole country from coast to coast, driving, like, and just, man, everything you get to experience and see, like, it's dope, man. I can't even put words.
Middle America, you have it. It's not what it is on TV when you're actually moving across America, going from Waffle House to Waffle House and experiencing that with your own eyes. And the crazy thing, most people are good people, man.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that, you know, they're bad people and everything, but most people are good people, and they, you know, welcome you with open arms and all that. So So you got Quali, you got Murs, you got Immortal Technique, you got Miss Hill. How did you get hooked up with Miss Hill?
2006. I was already working at Guerrilla Union to like just during the shows. I wasn't working full time at Guerrilla Union yet for Rock the Bells and Paid Dues and the Smokeout. I was only working all the festivals when it was time for them. But they called me up one day. They're like, "Yo, you've been with us like going on 5 years. You have, good work ethic. You're a good dude. We're not a big company, but we want to offer you a position." And I was like, "All right, I'm down." They're like, "No, we want you to think about it." I was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna think about it. Like, doors don't open to this side of the industry that often." I'm like, "I'm down. I'll take it." At that time, I was working as an after-school program coordinator in downtown Long Beach. I was in charge of like 3 different school sites, working with kids and after-school programming,
So that's where the graffiti and the kids come in.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that all make okay.
Yeah. So they were like, "Yo, like we can't offer you a salary like what you're making over there with all the, working with kids and the families, and then, think about it." I was like, "Nah, I'm down." I was like, "You're like, okay, cool." So the job we want to hire you for is to work with Lauryn Hill. She's living here in LA. We're gonna start working with her. There's bigger plans, a bigger picture, but she needs a driver. So you're just gonna be her driver / whatever she needs. I'm like, all right. And that's how it all started. I was with her 7 days a week from the moment she woke up till whatever time she wanted to go back to the hotel to go to sleep. She had to go to a meeting. I was driving her to her meetings. She wanted to go shopping, pick up the kids. I've seen her kids grow, man. I've been working with her like, 2006 and now 14 years,
Yeah.
I've seen Zion and Selah grow since they were babies, Zion has a kid now. Like Lauryn Hill's a grandma, straight up.
That's how I met Sean Jones. We did a some type of arena show in Colorado, and he was driving, and I just remember I just gave it up to him because it's like, man, I hate them. I hate Colorado and driving and moving around, especially the snow and just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Them Colorado roads ain't no joke either.
Yeah, man, I don't like no parts of that, or didn't like no parts of that, whatever.
Man, driving those roads, shit.
And I just look, and I think we had our flight out was like early in the morning, and I just remember him we probably had to leave at like 4:00 in the morning because they always give the little snow or whatever. And I remember him just driving down the mountain, and I'm just saying like, dang, like, man. But anyway, that developed into a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Me and Sean, hella cool. Met a bunch of cool people along the way.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
Sean, like, as there was a certain situation that I needed him to step in on, and I had him helping me out tour manage some shit for me.
Yeah. So tell me this. So that other situation that you had, that was in hip hop. So how does, if somebody wanted to come to you right now and say, "Yo, it looks like you having fun, Jose. I'm looking at your Instagram. Man. You dipping, you Miss Hill hanging, slapping hands with Nas, this, that, and the third, whatever. I want to be a tour manager, Jose. What do I do?"
Shit, and I'm not gonna say unfortunately, but I believe strongly that in our industry, it really is one of those like who versus what to get into certain positions. Because people can name drop my name all they want, and at the end of the day, but if you don't know shit, like.
And the thing about it, it's not hard to figure out who knows and who don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, the incubation period of that right there, man, is very, I got a thing. If I go to sound check, because a lot of times, like, I'll go to sound check and I won't go to the hotel, like, or if they go to the hotel, we'll go to the hotel, drop off luggage. I'll stay at sound check. They'll go back to the hotel or whatever. And my formula is simple. If the sound check is a trip, that is the barometer of the evening. You know what I'm saying? If they don't have stuff ready at sound check, transportation, not being bougie, but sound check ain't right, transportation is crazy, I'm gonna have to be on my toes.
Yeah.
I'm saying those are the experiences where I say, you know what, you're gonna have a drink when you get back to the house. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know, right about here, you're gonna have to earn your money tonight.
No, I mean that's very true. You know, if I roll up to a sound check and we're already having problems at the sound check, I agree. I'm already like, all right, it's gonna be one of those kind of shows, whether they don't got the right, the right equipment, or or the sound's not sounding right and they can't fix it. Like it's not that hard, yo. Come on, like we've done this. We're not the first act you worked with. You're not the first venue we worked with. Like, come on.
Hey, I got a good one for you. I sent you questions earlier today, but this isn't a question that I sent you. And you don't gotta name no names, but I just really want to know. So this is my experience. I've gone to venues and festivals where the group that I was rolling with might have gone on before another group. We didn't bring a sound man. The other group didn't bring a sound man. When we go on, it's a cool but a mild thump. But when that certain artist comes on, everything is maxed out at top peak bass level vibration in your chest or whatever. Are there some inside politics, man, that go down? Hey, man, it's the Rona. We might not never go on the road again. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, yo, every artist just has their flavor, how they want it to sound, or what they want to hear.
You're not answering the question, and I'll accept that. I'll accept it. We cool like that, man. I'll accept it. You know what I'm saying? Man. It was a wild card. I didn't add it on the questions I sent you earlier, but that's just been my personal experience. And I've seen it happen in the States and I've seen it happen in Europe. You know what I'm saying? You got these festivals, hella crowded. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You have a certain group that's not no poo butt, not a whack group. Right. Get up there, the sound and levels are like this. Then you'll get the group that comes on right after them. They're not traveling with a sound man either. In your chest.
Yeah, you feel it. Hell yeah.
So tell me this. What's the dopest moment? If you had I'm not gonna say one. If you had to name 3 dope moments in hip hop that you experienced, you were there to see it go down, what would be the 3? In no particular order.
Shit, yo. I would say first time in Japan. You know, when I was there with Ms. Hill, but Kweli was there and Common was there.
Oh,
so man. When you get together, just chopping it up and just being a fly on the wall, like, yo, like that you know, that's just amazing, you know, like just being there and feeling that energy, you know, like them as regular people, just chopping it up, like, so good to see you.
Yeah.
Like homies.
We strolled into Japan on we were crossing De La Soul, and Imani and Brown and them were homies with them, but then when me and Brown went out with Gorillas, that really changed the dynamic of us and De La a little bit, because it's like when you're around somebody for, you know, several shows at a time, you know, it just changes it. But it was Paz's birthday, and so we all like kind of turned the buffet area in the hotel into a party minus music, but it wasn't really a party. It was just a bunch of friends, you know, hanging out. You know what I'm saying? Just all that. That was cool. And it's a trip. One good thing I will say about hip hop, when I travel, whether it's me getting to a festival and getting to who I need to get to, or me getting 10 to 15 minute, 20-minute Uber ride, when you know folks is in town, and it's a trip. I always say, like, man, why can't we kick it like that in LA? You know what I'm saying? Or in the States. But it's kind of like, man, I've flown, you know, 12, 13 hours from Europe, gotten to the hotel, dropped my bags off at the room to just be ready to dart out to just see just anything familiar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%, definitely.
So
I want to say that was part of kind of like what we did in Prague.
yeah.
I want to say we got to Prague, and that's where we were all ended up at this like bar, like a little pre-party / bar, but everyone was there. We were there, you were there, De La, Scratch, Supernet.
I was at the. I also went to the Volvo party. Did you go to the Volvo? It was like a Volvo party, a little ways down from the hotel. But I do remember everybody in a bar, and it was kind of like, okay, we all out here.
Yeah, we were all out. It just worked out that way.
Man, I'll say I remember that show. It was I want to say it was Pharoah Monch's birthday. And I think they brought him out for De La. I got that footage too. I need to find it. And they De La brought him out. And it was like, I want to say that show was maybe Pharoah Monch, Pharcyde, EPMD. Not sure if Nas was there. Might have been. Yeah, most Def.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, man, yeah, that whole Europe tour, man. Shit, man. So much shit happened on that tour.
Hey, man, baptism by fire, man. Baptism by fire, man. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Yeah, it was a lot. Matter of fact, I'll say the oddest thing that happened to me on that tour was I had an experience, and I wasn't really happy. And I was walking around kind of heated, and I'm trying to walk it off. And we were looking for a coffee shop. And I remember saying to I want to say it was Ice Water and Imani, and I was just, and we had been walking for like about 20 minutes after a little situation, or whatever. And I remember just still, you could have fried an egg on my forehead. I was just still hot. And I walked into the coffee shop, and I saw PMD, and we talked and we chopped it up for a minute. And I for that moment, I really sat and I was like, dang. I was like, you really are a part of something where you're able to I keep wanting to say fraternize, but like not fraternize, not congregate, but fellowship. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Fellowship with like hip hop royalty. And really, because I'm one for like picking people's brains. Like I love to pick their brains for knowledge, and to just see. And my experience has been, if you're passionate about the knowledge that you pick from somebody, they'll throw you a couple jewels. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna give you everything, but they'll throw you a couple little ins and outs. But you know, that's been my experience. But on the stage though, man, what's the dopest thing you've seen on stage?
I mean, for me, just because as a fan,
I'm
gonna say 2007, man, the year we got Rage Against the Machine to headline for 4 shows on Rock the Bells. Like for me, that's me being fan groupie mode. Like just like, yo, like that's my shit. That's hands down my favorite group. Hands down. So to see them 4 times, man, that was just dope.
I'll say I got, if I had to say 3 moments in hip hop, I would say I can't remember where we were, but I want to say it might have been Scandinavia or something like that. But the night Obama won and Nas performed.
Yep.
And we went to the after party. And
that was Helsinki.
Helsinki, okay.
We were in Helsinki. I remember that day. I remember that show. Yep.
That Nas on stage and that whole energy.
Yeah.
That was one of them.
Yeah.
Then I'll say number 2, the show that we did at the O2 Theater that year. And Nas brought Eric Sermon out. Ooh. And like the light followed Eric Sermon. And I don't think that, well, it didn't look like they planned it, but they could have planned it. But Eric Sermon just walked out on stage and just chilled next to Nas while he was rapping. And it was just like, oh man, that was a whole lot of hip hop like that night. And I'll say the third, the show we did last summer at the it's a big place in the Bay. Sheesh, I can't think of it. But we did it was the Rap Gods tour. And it was all of Wu-Tang, Eric B. and Rakim, De La Soul, the Pharcyde, and I can't remember who else, but I remember walking backstage and looking at Maceo and Rakim chopping it up. And then looking at the Wu just scattered about the whole situation, and me just saying like, man, this is like, out of all the shows I've been to, like I've been to some, you can't really count the alternative groups, because groups like the Gorillas, they'll have anybody come through. Like you'll have some, like, yeah. There is no cap to who might roll through for them.
Right.
But on some hip hop, pure hip hop, I was in awe, man. I was in awe. I'll say that was my moment. I was just like, man, I seldom have moments where I feel like, dude, you can't even take a picture of this. This is like that would be sacrilegious, man. That truly would be sacrilegious. Like, I probably took 2 pictures. I took one of Brown and Paz giving each other dap, and I took one of like Mace, Imani, and Brown. But I couldn't even photograph the God Rakim, man. It was like, man, I couldn't even do it, man. I couldn't even do it. It was to me, how I've worked in hip hop for that moment in time. I was like, okay, yeah, this is you'd have to have a lot of hate in your heart if you said this was a whack show.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? So what's up with you, man? You done told us,
man.
I want to know.
I mean, where do you want to start, man? I mean, 14 years worth of stories, man.
You can't name 2 other ones where you were like, dang, this is ridiculous.
Shit.
Nah, you just live more than me, man.
Man, I mean, the same thing I would say is, when we were in, I want to say Paris, and Kweli happened to be in Paris, and I was there with Ms. Hill, and they're like calling me up because they know they're both there just to link up and catch up. Like, that's dope. Like,
yeah,
like it's just moments like that just happen.
I'll tell you something dope on my side. We stayed at this hotel, and it was some gorilla stuff, and Kid Rock's band was staying in our hotel, and like, man, you go down to the bar. So we were kicking it with Kid Rock's people, and this probably was about 2000, maybe around 2006, I'll say. And it was a trip because, people say, Kid Rock is this just, he's just this energy that's whatever. But his band was so multicultural, dude. It just really tripped me. I mean, in like the biggest group of wonderful, he had black backup singer, just like this whole group that was just kind of like a family. And then I was just like, but then at the end of the day, I was like, well, you know what? Artists are artists, man. You can't even that's the band,
Yeah.
Like, we all know, man, when you got that artist, man, he's that's just where it is.
Yo, I remember this one time, and this ain't no secret because I remember it's nothing crazy. I was with Kweli, and anyone that knows Kweli or follows Talib Kweli on social media, like, he's very outspoken. He'll call someone out, anybody out, especially on Twitter. Someone's tripping on him on Twitter, tagging him on some shit, like, he's gonna respond and he's gonna go at you if you keep going after him. We were in LA, and I guess some dudes started calling him a racist and this and that. You're racist. You don't like Mexicans. You don't have no white friends. All this shit, right? And this one actor, Dax Shepard, super funny dude. He was right there chilling with us in the green room, and he was showing Dax like, "Yo, man, see this dude's out here calling me a racist and this and that." And if Dax Shepard's like, "He's here, like he's outside." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Let's go talk to him." I was like, "No, like nah. Like you got to get ready to get on stage in a few minutes. Like we don't got time for this."
Not the move.
And Kweli is like, "You know what, Dax? If you want to go, we're gonna go." Dax Shepard like, "Yeah, let's go." I was like, "Oh." So Dax Shepard, Kweli, me, and the big homie Dave New York, rest in peace, big old humble dude, man. Like in the hip hop world, many people knew Dave.
I saw the pictures. He passed this year.
Yeah, man, lots of people knew Dave. So we go out there to the front of the venue. That dude's out there still yelling, talking shit. And here come the cameras. Cameras are coming out because this whole shit comes out on TMZ. This guy comes out, starts attacking Kweli, like, "Man, you're fucking racist, this and that, woo woo." Kweli's like, "Bro, what are you talking about? I'm here with the white homie Dax Shepard. I'm here with the Mexican homie Jose, who's my road manager. I got the big homie Dave New York, who's from New York. Look at him. Like, how am I racist? This is my crew. This is my people. What are you talking about?" Like, that shit was wild, yo. Because then the cops rolled up, separated everybody. And I'm like, "Yo, you gotta go get on stage, bro. Like, we gotta go."
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part. So shoot, man, that's some hip hop. But you're jaded. I used to think that I was jaded, but yeah, now you way more jaded than me, man. You way more jaded than me, man. You way more jaded. So right now, where do you see the future of touring going?
Shit, man. I mean, unfortunately, everything's just on everything's standstill. Like shit. The day the earth stood still type of shit. Ain't nothing happening. I see these dates for next year, 2021, for these music festivals. I haven't seen any tour dates, but I've seen, a couple of music festivals, trying to
get the interest.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of tours rescheduled and rerouted for 2021, but same thing. Everything, if the country's still shut down and Europe borders still closed, we ain't going to Europe. We're not touring Europe. They're like, "Nope, y'all can stay over there.
Keep that stuff. You keep it over there."
Yeah.
I have a theory, man. So my theory is that residencies are going to become really large, and it's not going to be just about Vegas. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so yeah, we'll document this, man. You can cut me the check. I had this conversation with AG and Live Nation. It's more like, have you ever been to Yoshi's with Kweli? It's in Oakland.
Yeah. Oakland? Yeah.
So you know how people go to Yoshi's and it's kind of like you have dinner, the people that come out, they have dinner, then it's just a select few that kind of stand in front of the stage. I think it's going to turn to that, and people are just going to be, you'll probably do 2 shows a night for like 5 nights, and it's just, it'll just be about 250 people at maxed out, 250 people maxed out that'll be allowed to, to come in. But that's pretty much, and then instead of it costing maybe $100 for dinner and drinks, it'll probably be like 253. Like it really will be where that artist that might not be the largest artist, I could easily see people paying. You got to think, before pandemic, people were paying like $1,000 to see Drake's and this, that, and the other. It's really gonna come to a classist type of situation of who you can see, and people are still gonna do shows, but it's just gonna cost a lot of money, man. I don't think I didn't really buy into it. That whole movie theater drive-in type of show. Like, come on, man. You really gonna have fun with 4 of your homies in the car, closed in, and, you know what I'm saying? Closed in, boxed in. You know what I'm saying? Nah. Nah. But I do think we're gonna see some shows next year. But they're gonna be small. They're gonna be small things. I just really feel bad for all these venues, man, because it's like,
no doubt,
venues were struggling before this,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of them, legendary venues.
Yeah, because I mean, people got to remember too, like it's so many hands in the mix and so many people involved, and to make every single show happen, even the small shows, just to open the doors for the venue. you know, the cleaning crew, the people that got to come in and clean, the sound crew, security, bartenders, bar backs, the lighting dude, the driver, the runner for the day, and then the people that work at the venue, the, you know, the production manager, the venue manager for the night, you know, that's all a bunch of people before even us on the artist side, you know, the road manager, tour manager, artist, DJ, merch seller. We got to produce the merch. That's another cost. Like there's just so many costs involved for one show, no matter how big or how small.
Yeah. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting, man.
Yeah.
This is gonna be interesting. I'll say this. What I've witnessed, along with a comedian that I work with, I had a person who's not really involved in music per se, more like on the marketing side, and he made the comment to me, said, "Man, this is a hustler season." And I was like, "Hustler season?" He's like, "Yeah, man, if you was made to hustle, then you'll figure it out." I'll say this. I give props to D Nice, Maceo, DJ Shortcut, DJ C Minus, Apollo, all these cats where Spinner, you know, all these cats where instead of them just ranting and raving and going crazy or whatever, dude, they just started rocking parties. Like, man, right, you know, their own party to themselves or whatnot, and were able to like really soothe the people.
Word, most definitely. 100%.
So tell me this, as far as the youngsters are concerned, with the civil unrest and stuff that's gone down, how do you feel about the younger generation? Like, I guess the Baby came out with a song about, you know, knee on the neck or something like that. But how do you feel about the silence that the younger generation of hip hop has had towards the, you know, the unrest and whatnot?
I think we're right now we're in an interesting time. Like I think some of the younger generation are definitely are speaking up. You know, they're taking lead, or if not taking lead, you know, they're following in the lead of some of the OGs. You know, they're stepping up to the plate too, and really being part of the movement and trying to be part of a solution with all the bullshit that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, yo, like we went through this in the '90s, and yo, man, it wasn't as peaceful or as with the protesting as it is now. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit was rough, and a lot of people were getting shot. Yeah. You know, like it was wild. Yo, the race riots were real for us in the '90s. Like,
come on, Rage Against Machine. Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, man.
And you know what? I'm gonna correct myself. My comment wasn't meant derogatory, but it was kind of like, you know what? You know, people aren't speaking up, so to speak, or whatever. But nah, man, Rhapsody is she's younger than me. I know that, and unless she looked, you know, hella young, but she's younger than me, and she does a good job.
Yeah, she's younger than you, and she's an ill as MC.
Ooh.
Like lyrically, bars, yo. She's so dope.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh yeah, you were on the tour for that was it Styles P?
Yeah. Quali and Styles P. Yeah. It's the 7 tour. They made that album called The 7. Yep.
Man. Well, man, I guess this has been a interesting episode of Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV. I appreciate you, Jose, for tapping in.
Brother. Always, brother, you know, man. All love, man. Appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah, nah, man. In 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, man, we're gonna we
gonna be getting up back with some chips and salsa again.
Yeah, nah, man, we got one better, man. We gonna I got the chicken wings cracking, and you can bring carne asada.
You know it.
I got tequila, man. You know what I'm saying? And we'll get it right. So nah, man, good looking out. Thanks for tapping in and having a candid conversation about some of your adventures, experiences, and whatnot. That was Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV.
Word up, brother.